Welcome back. You're watching 101. We're speaking with comedian and actor Maz Jobrani. Now, you got into movies. You did quite a few parts. How difficult was it to establish that sort of acting career?
You know, again, when you're doing something that's fun, you love doing it. You know, I'm not digging ditches. It was always fun to go on these auditions and the sort. It's just that what you run into as a Middle Eastern American is you start to see what you're being offered as auditions, and interestingly enough, a lot of them tend to be terrorist parts. You know, and so I remember, you know, one of my first guest stars I did was a security guard in the TV show Chicago Hope, and I thought, oh, this is great, I could play everything. And then right after that, it was, oh, we have an audition for you to play terrorist, and I thought, oh, okay, that's all right. And then it was, oh, another terrorist, and after a while, you're like, oh, there's a lot of auditions coming in for terrorists, and I ended up playing taking a couple of them, landing the parts, and I did them, and I just didn't feel good about myself. So I said, no more of that. And what's great is when you say no, people start understanding that, and then they offer you other auditions. And so I've been fortunate enough to get a chance to play other just normal characters here and there.
What do you see as your defining moments? What are the milestones that stick in your mind?
Well, there's a few, because I came up doing stand-up and doing acting all at the same time. And early on, the acting gigs were, you know, coming in pretty well, like guest stars, a lot of guest stars on TV shows. And the stand-up was, you know, not known, but just going up at the comedy clubs all the time. One of my first defining moments just in my career was when I became a regular at the Comedy Store. And that's Mitzi Shore's club in Los Angeles. And that's where a lot of the best-known names, you know, grew and reworked themselves, whether it was Richard Pryor, or Jay Leno, David Letterman. Everyone kind of went through there. So when she picks you out, it's kind of like, like the Yoda, or who somebody said, we're going to train you, young Jedi, you know. So it was a great moment, and actually it helped me grow exponentially as a comedian and as a performer. Because what happens at the Comedy Store when you become a regular, when you first become a regular, you know, the shows go from 9 p.m. till 2 a.m. and it's a continuous show, and everybody does about 15 minutes. So when you first get in there, she puts you up in the end of the night. So I'd be getting up at like 1 in the morning in front of like 5 or 6 drunk people. And what you learn to do is survival. You learn to survive. And it's like being in the best gym in the world. So that was one of my first defining moments. Another one for me was when I landed the part in Friday After Next, the Ice Cube movie, which was the third installment of his Friday films. And it was this amazing thing where I got to play this, you know, Middle Eastern guy who owned this donut shop. And it was just fun because they let us improvise a lot on the set. And that was so fun because I got to really just have a good time with it. And it was a film that did really well in the urban community. And so suddenly I'd be walking around the streets of Los Angeles, and you'd have like young black kids and young Latinos calling out my character name, go, "Hey, Molly, what's up?" And I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" You know. So
actually, it's interesting you mentioned that, being given the chance to do with, you know, this sort of movie part what you want, because they're two different disciplines, aren't they? The stand-up is you, and the movie is directed. It's much more controlled. You're also involved with the Axis of Evil tour.
Yeah.
What was the logic behind that?
The Axis of Evil tour started, again, Mitzi Shore, visionary. She used to do these shows at her club where she had like you know, black comedy night, and then she'd have Latino comedy night. So she had all these different shows, ladies of comedy, you know. She had all these different, you know, themed nights that she would put on like once every couple months, taking her people from that ethnicity or that, you know, gender. So I was a regular at the Comedy Store in the year 2000, and Mitzi, who's Jewish, was watching a lot of news, and she saw there was the latest uprising with the Palestinians and the Israelis. And so she said, you know what, I think I need to put together a Middle Eastern comedy night, because she said, I think that there's going to be a need for a positive voice for Middle Easterners. This is the year 2000.
Quite insightful.
Yeah, so at the time she'd seen Ahmed perform somewhere, so she, at the club on another show, so she made him a regular. I'd seen Aaron Cater perform, I recommended him. So then she put together a show called the Arabian Nights. And I always say it was everyone that wasn't black or Latino was on the show, you know, that was of color, you know. So we had an Indian, we had an Armenian, we had everyone you could imagine, just from everywhere. And eventually, me, Ahmed, and Aaron kind of came together as the core guys for the Arabian Nights. After a little while, we decided, oh, Iranians not being Arab would always come over. We enjoyed the show, very good, but you know, we're not Arab. And I was like, I know, Mitzi Shore named it, I didn't name it, you know. But eventually we started throwing out some other names, and Axis of Evil Comedy Tour kind of stuck because we felt that it was a good way to make fun of this term that Bush had given us by putting the word comedy at the end. And we started touring with that in November of 2005. And we toured until this year in May, and now we're just doing our own separate things. But it was really good. It really helped us put us all on the map. It was the first time where there was 4 Middle Easterners on a comedy, on any kind of American show where we didn't get killed. So it was it was progress, Riz. It was progress.
The thing that frustrates me is when I see us on TV nowadays, who they always show? They always show the crazy dude burning the American flag going, "Death to America!" Always that guy. Just once, I wish they would show us doing something good, man. Right? Just once, right? Yeah, man. Right? Show us doing something good, like, you know, like baking a cookie or something, right? Because I've been to Iran, we have cookies. Just once, I want CNN to be like, now we're going to go to Mohammed in Iran. They go to some guys like, hello, I'm Mohammed, and I'm just baking a cookie. I swear to God, no bombs, no flags, nothing. Back to you, Bob. Do the whole news piece. They're never going to do that. Even if they ever did that, they'd follow it up with another news piece. They'd be like, this just in, a cookie bomb just exploded. Mohammed, you sneaky Parajan.
Is it hard to make people laugh?
No, I don't think it's hard to make people. I mean, it depends. You know, if they don't speak your language, it's pretty hard. I've done that too. I did a show at a youth hostel, because when you first start out, you do shows everywhere. I did church basements, Alcoholics Anonymous, youth hostel. One time I was doing a show at a youth hostel, and 5-6 minutes into it, I go, "Do you guys speak English?" And they all just kept staring at me. And one guy in the back raised his hand. I go, "Oh, great," So, yeah, it's, if you're having fun and you're enjoying it, and if people are coming out to have a laugh, it's usually pretty easy. But there's some psychological stuff to it. Like, one of the things people don't know about stand-up is you need to set the room up for it. When I'm at a club, the people usually at the club that are working the door know. What you want to do is you want to seat people close to each other, because it's like a fire. If one person starts laughing and the other people around them start laughing, but when you spread these people out, that energy is now diffused, and you've lost, it's harder to make that crowd laugh. So it can be difficult. And the beauty of what we do at being at the Comedy Store, there's another club called the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles, which is a great club as well. And the beauty of what we do is that if we end up in those situations where there's like 8 people, diffused, like I said, you're in the moment. So you're going, well, this is going to end in 10 minutes. And so you start making fun of your own situation. You're like, oh, great, we could have done this in my living room. Why did we come out tonight? Why am I even talking into a microphone? Why is this guy sleeping? What are you doing here? And you make fun of your situation, and hopefully they see that, okay, you have a sense of humor about the reality of what's going on.
And you travel a lot internationally. Do you find that audiences around the world, I mean, are you getting more and more sensitive to what each audience really likes?
One thing I've noticed is, first of all, again, every audience wants you to make fun of them. I mean, and I've done shows before where I'll be going down a list of like who's in the crowd, and I might make fun of, the Persians, and then make fun of the Lebanese, and then make fun of the Kuwaitis. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I hit enough Middle Easterners. Let me go to the Asians. Let me go to this. And then at the end of the night, I'm meeting and greeting people as they're leaving. And, a Turk will come up and go, "You didn't make any jokes about Turkey. What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Oh, God, I'm sorry. I forgot," So people want to hear about themselves, and they laugh. And one thing I've noticed, and I've told a lot of my American comedian friends, is that there's a whole world out there, like the Middle East. They speak English. They know all about the West. They know every reference you make. They know more about America than we know about America. And that was one of the best experiences, to be in Jordan. That was one of the first places we performed with the Axis of Evil when we did our Middle East tour, and tell jokes that I just told in Los Angeles and have everybody just get it 100%. And you go, wow, there's a whole world out there. And unfortunately, that part of the world has been demonized, but there's a lot of mostly good people there.
How would you like to be remembered? What would you like the legacy to be?
I'm doing what I love doing. I'm really blessed. I'm really lucky to do what I do. And so, and I'm happy with life. I mean, I always, all you got to do is you open up a newspaper and read about what's going on in Iraq, or read about what's going on in some, even in cities that we live in, and go, wow, I'm blessed, and so, that's what I want to be remembered as somebody who's just good to people.
Well, Maz Jobrani, I hope your life remains blessed. Thank you very much for your time.
Riz.
Thank you.
Thank you.